morning, everyone, and welcome to Coffee and Football, presented by John Donovan and Longhorn Wealth Management Group. I'm your host, Blake Monroe, where I'm joined every day by Bobby Burton and Jerry Hamilton. Be sure to tell us where you're checking in from, what you're drinking, get your questions in. Y'all should know the drill by now. And let's just get right into it, fellas. Texas, of course, wins against San Jose State. They moved to 1-1. But let's recap that game before we look ahead to UTEP later today. Bobby, I'm going to let you start.
Yeah, we won't spend too much time here on it since we've had so much content over the weekend. But I got to tell you, Monday morning coffee tastes a lot better after a win than it does a loss. I don't care what you're drinking. It just does. Texas back in the winners column with a 38-7 win over San Jose State. It was a dominating performance, but it wasn't a overwhelming one. It's kind of an interesting thought process. Texas scored 28 points in roughly 5 minutes of play, and then the rest of the game, it was a little ho-hum. Texas shot itself in the foot on a couple drives with key penalties, a drop ball here or there. Texas won the second half 10-0. The defense was consistent almost all day long. San Jose State had one long drive. Texas had 4 takeaways. A lot to like about this game. I thought Arch Manning had a better performance against San Jose State, so he's growing now. I think the offense needs to grow around him. They need to pick up their level of play, better pass blocking, better perimeter blocking, better pass catching. All of those things on offense, that needs to get moved forward. And then on defense, I mean, Steve Sarkisian talked about it. Taking the ball away can be this team's superpower, potentially. 4 takeaways, including 2 forced fumbles by Anthony Hill. Hill making his presence known with the right jaw, with a right hook to the jaw, apparently, on that one fumble, but really come through. Special teams was a little mixed, but overall, the Longhorns outgained San Jose State, but right at 200 yards. There were some things that we need to see changed, including the penalties and efficacy on third down. But a 38-7 win is a 38-7 win where your quarterback starts looking more like the quarterback you want to see. So I like where Texas is at right now. I like the way they played this weekend. It was not perfect. It was better and more convincing to me.
Yeah, I would say my number one takeaway, I said it last night and I said it during the game, after the game, was did Texas play up to the standard? So Sark always talks about the standard. Well, they did not. Obviously, they did not play up to the standard. So it's a 38-7 win, and it's a great week to be a coaching staff because you get a win, you play well, but you don't play up to your standard. And Bobby hit on a lot of those things. Obviously, the penalties are key for me. I think there's a little confusion and assignment on the offensive line Saturday, which is great learning experience for some of those guys. I think one of the things we don't talk about enough that's really going to have to get better is the perimeter blocking by the wide receivers. If you're going to have a horizontal passing game or a screen passing game and be able to attack in those manners, the perimeter blocking is going to have to improve a lot at wide receiver, else it's going to be non-existent against good teams. That's one thing I'm looking at. Defensively, I think they were extremely vanilla. Look, if Texas had gone in saying, we're going to hold these guys to 0 and try to hold them under 200 yards, Texas could have done some things like that. They played off coverage. They didn't blitz much. I mean, Anthony Hill hadn't blitzed much yet this season. He is going to in the swamp in Dallas, but he hasn't this season. But I really just the sloppy play for me was a key. You know, look, when Arch throws it well, you got to catch it. Arch had, one bad decision in that game. It's going to happen. But overall, they won 38-7. They outscored they outgained their opponent by 200 yards, but there's a ton of coaching points. So it's actually a really good week. 2 of 12 on third downs is glaring. 1 of 9, I think, when Arch exited the game. But those penalties impacted that because Bobby said last night and Rod said the average distance on third down was over 9 yards. Well, you only average 5.5, 6 per play. So your odds are going way down if you're over 8.5, 9 yards on third downs.
9.6 or 9.7 yards to go on your average third down against San Jose State. that is not the consistency you want to see on offense. And that's what I meant by other players on offense need to step up around Arch now.
Yeah.
I think no drop passes, no misfires in the run game. There was some sloppiness there, as well as the penalties. I mean, look, DJ Campbell, Trevor Gooseby, Brandon Baker had holds. Cole Hudson had and Brandon Baker had a combined chop block. Those guys got to step up. Nick Townsend, as good as he looked, missed a key block. There were just aspects of it. Jordan Washington missed a block that almost resulted in a safety. These things are going to happen to a young team. I'm not belaboring the fact. I said this all season. Texas is a young team all off season. Texas is a young team. They're going to have to grow into themselves. Okay. What they need to guard against is make sure they don't have a bunch of losses before they actually get to be grown up. Otherwise, that'll take them out of the playoff contention. But look, I think that this was a good step in the right direction. I do want to point out one more stat on third downs for you. Not on this game alone, but Texas is 2 for 12, Blake and Jerry, along with what they did against Ohio State. Texas is now ranked 121st on third down conversions on offense. That's no bueno.
Yeah.
Not good. And so as we look to this, they've got to be more successful on first and second down than they are being, and on a consistent basis. So I know a lot of people say, well, that means they should use the quick game with Arch. Okay, but you can't run counters that go for 0 or negative yardage on first and second down, or miss a pass attempt on first down and then run a play for 1 yard on second down. So I'm a believer that Texas has to work on third down percentage as one of those pieces of the puzzle. That otherwise they're going to be an inconsistent offense all year, and going to have to score points in bunches. Rod Babers calls it the Sark spurt, because this is what happens every so often. He gets on you, and then all of a sudden you're down 21 points. I get it. I want to see more consistency from the offense. That's the next growth phase, I guess.
Yeah. So, by the way, a lot of questions on Arch and injury and all that. Look, Arch threw multiple balls, 50 plus, couple 60 yards on Saturday. I mean, he threw an opposite hash rip ball to Aaron Butler, the best throw he made all day, after the video of the grimacing. So, look, I'll leave it at that. All right, move on.
All right, well, before we move on, first, Bobby, I want you to tell everyone this morning about Longhorn Wealth Management Group.
Yeah, good week to get everybody's finances in order, maybe, huh? It's just like the Longhorns are getting their games in order. We would like to thank our sponsor, John Donovan, president of Longhorn Wealth Management Group. John's a proud Texas Ex's Life member whose wife and 6 siblings are also UT grads. It's his family passion for Texas that led John to brand his firm, Longhorn Wealth Management, and to get dedicated to providing investment, retirement, life insurance, and estate planning services and solutions to Longhorn families and friends across the nation for more than 30 years. John enjoyed the OTF tailgate on Saturday, then took in the volleyball game on Sunday. Congrats to the ladies for the 5-set win in Moody. This week, John hopes that the penalties will be far less, special teams will begin to shine more, and both the O&D will continue to gel. John predicts 52-6 this weekend. Go out there, John. John wants to offer all OTF fans the opportunity to take advantage of a free 90-minute private consultation to learn how working with a certified financial planner like John can help you maximize your wealth, minimize your taxes, and ensure your legacy. Call the Longhorn Wealth Team, 972-707-4900, or go online, www.longhornwealth.net, to schedule your free 90-minute private consultation to start to design, develop, defend, and distribute your financial future with John and the team at Longhorn Wealth.
All right, well, let's look ahead. We talked about San Jose State. But now it's UTEP time, fellas. Of course, Texas opens as a 41.5 point favorite. The over-under on that game is 51.5. So that should tell you quite a bit right there. But the weather, hot with plenty of sunshine.
Look at that
97
UV
degrees.
index. That UV index is 8, which means, woof, get your gooders on. We'll tell you about gooder later in this broadcast, but get your gooders on and your sunscreen for Saturday.
It's gonna be hot.
10, very bright. Yes, 10, very bright. At least there'll be a little breeze.
0% cloud cover, by the way.
Yeah, it's going to feel like 140, 150 on the field. UTEP obviously 1-1, lost at Utah State 28-16, beat UT Martin, a bad UT Martin team, 42-17. I actually posted video from that game on texasfootball.com. We have our game week thread going. Malachi Nelson, some people remember, was a 5-star quarterback rated guy coming out of high school. He is on his third school, finally starting at UTEP. He will throw it to the other team. So UTEP runs a 3-man front. Their linebackers are their guys. They got 2 linebackers who are good players. They run a 3-man front. One of their D linemen, about 6'1", 275. He's pretty active. The other 2 guys, I don't know. Their linebackers are going to be the key for UTEP. When they bring the heat with those linebackers out of that 3-man front, when they bring their linebackers, those guys are pretty athletic getting to the quarterback. And I would say based on the San Jose State tape, you're going to see a lot of that from UTEP. But when they drop, when they only rush 3, they have serious issues on defense. So that's going to be interesting to see how UTEP calls the game against Texas. Texas should win this game comfortably. Look, if they just play somewhat sound football, they could cover against UTEP. I've watched some of that Utah State. Hey, there you go. And UT Martin game. I would say this: UTEP's offensive line is going to have an issue against Texas too. UTEP's offensive line, I don't think is as good as San Jose State. That's going to be a major issue for them in this game against the athleticism. And not just Murad Watson, obviously, he's gonna dominate whoever's across from him in this game. But I think the UTEP's offensive line is gonna struggle in this game. They're gonna have to find a way to get the ball out really quickly. And Malachi likes to throw it down the field. That's somewhat of an issue for them. It would be interesting to see what they come with. But their offensive line is going to get their butt kicked.
Greg Jackson. I'm sorry, buddy. That's all I can say. I'm sorry. Prepping for a colonoscopy? No, thank you. Done that before.
We'll see if A&M is Saturday. We'll see if A&M gets one Saturday.
They play Notre Dame, obviously.
Hey, by the way, Greg Jackson, boy, do I have a read for you coming up.
Hey, that's true. You do. Hey, by the way, I mean, Jerry, you made UTEP sound like a reasonable opponent.
No, I said they're going to get their offensive line's going to get their butt kicked.
Well, I mean, at least
front and they can't.
You gave some insights to the game, and I'm not so sure that I'm as worried about what UTEP presents to Texas as opposed to how Texas exerts its influence on UTEP.
Mm-hmm.
That is my in these next 2 games. That's my takeaway for both of them. We need to see Texas. I'm not saying the word dominate. Look, if people put 8 guys in the box, you're not going to run the ball successfully. That's just the reality.
Yeah.
But I want to see Texas and its offense exert some authority over its opponent on a more consistent basis. That's what's been missing in both these first games. Texas did some of that against San Jose State. They put together 2 good quarters, I think, of offensive football. I want to see 3 or 4 good quarters of offensive football before they're ready to go play a Florida team that's reeling right now, or an Oklahoma team, which is high after that big win over Michigan this weekend.
We got a couple of super chats real quick before we
get
to some recruiting that I wanted to read. This first one from Rocky P. Thank you, Rocky.
I agree.
Art showed growth during the game. First half, free rusher and interception. Second half, free rusher, and he uses his mobility to get around the free rusher and extend the play. Also, our right side of the line is struggling.
Seems to be. So you're right about the free rusher in the first half, interception. Second half, There were actually multiple times where a free rusher came at him. The one that almost caused the safety was another one where he at least tucked the ball and didn't throw it away. But the one that I go back to, and I was rewatching the game yesterday, he stepped up into the pocket against a free rusher and delivered a dart to Jordan Washington on a crossing route. And Washington caught it, made an extra 15 yards yak because it was on schedule. Those sorts of plays from Arch those things translate even against difficult teams. So even against an OU, a Florida, a A&M, those kinds of steps up into the pocket and still deliver, that translates to Rocky P's conversation piece there. What was the last part he talked about there that I thought was interesting?
Offensive line struggling. The right side.
The right side of the offensive line is struggling a little. I mean, DJ Campbell gets one hold a game, and Brandon Baker has struggled, but not. And I want to say for this for both of them, not horribly so. Like, you could have a true sophomore or redshirt freshman offensive lineman out there struggling much more than what Brandon Baker has done. We've seen it at Texas. So I don't think it's that bad overall, Jerry and Blake. I think that there's work to do, but I think that they have something there. They just got to get it together. We never expected the offensive line to be great out of the gate. 4 new starters, or at least 4 new starters at different positions. You got to give these guys time to let them gel a little bit. I think Baker has not played great, but he hasn't played horrible. And so, look, he's young. Give him a minute here.
And one other Arch super chat. This one from Nathaniel. Thank you, Nathaniel. Arch really struggles with pressure. How do you improve in that area? And maybe late, but is he hurt, which y'all already addressed? Are we thinking backup quarterback this week? And where's Wingo?
Well, I actually think Arch was better against pressure this week. I'm a little different than you, Nathaniel.
I'm the same.
Yeah, I mean, had a QB, had a touchdown run with it, played well. I mean, look, nobody's going to be perfect against pressure, but I thought he was good. I thought he used his feet. I thought he kept his eyes downfield. People are asking if he's hurt. No, he is not hurt. As Jerry described, if he's hurt, it's not in his arm.
It's not in his throwing shoulder.
Yeah, it's not in his throwing shoulder like some people are trying to make a part of. It could be a sore rib. It could be a lower body thing, but it's not his arm. Now, and I don't even know if he's hurting his lower body either. Because immediately following that ball that he grimaced on where he hit Wingo in the feet, he came back and Jerry mentioned he ripped a 40-yard pass. It was a frozen rope to Aaron Butler. I mean, and if he's hurt, he ain't making that throw. I mean, I can tell you that much. If he's truly hurt. So I'm not worried about that. I do not think we're going to see a backup quarterback this week more than what we saw this week. I think they're going to continue to try to push Arch well into the third quarter, if not to the end of the third quarter. He needs the reps. The offensive line needs the reps. Now, the last part of this, Jerry, where's Ryan Wingo? Where's Ryan Wingo? And I know I'm going to talk with Coach Bob Shipley and Coach Brian Irwin later today. And we're going to talk about the lack of other playmakers stepping up. And Wingo is one of those. I mean, they need him in the worst way. Because right now, only Livingstone and injuries are stepping up in that regard, at least from the the receiver position.
Yeah, well, DeAndre Moore had tremendous catch on the sidelines.
Yeah. But
I mean, DeAndre Moore's playing well. I think he's just – look, I mean, I think it's more than stats. DeAndre Moore is playing well till he got knocked out of that game. He hasn't dropped any passes that would have been 20-plus yard gains. So Wingo's got – this does not need to become a trend with him. Look, if he's going to be the guy that gets the most targets, he's got to deliver, period.
And Sark should make Arch and Wingo room together. We need those two to click. They know that as well or better than anybody. I mean, talking to some people close to that situation, they know this, and they're aching for it as much or more than we are, actually. So it's not like they're unaware. And I know that when Ryan Wingo dropped that ball, he was kicking himself more than anybody. When Arch threw the ball at Wingo's feet, I guarantee you Arch was kicking himself more than anybody. When Arch overthrew Wingo in the back of the end zone, that would have been a huge touchdown play. I think it's, look, let's see where it goes. I will say this, against Ohio State, it was not a fair look. And it wasn't a fair look because we heard Caleb Downs said they tried to double Ryan Wingo and DeAndre Moore at most opportunities that they had. And so it's hard to get open against that kind of stuff. We'll see where it goes.
Oh, we'll get to some more questions in a little bit. But first, Jay, let's talk recruiting.
Yeah, so first of all, I didn't check in. I'm in South Florida. I will be at Miami Northwestern practice later today to see James.
No, Jerry, I thought your bed was always that clean and nice.
Yes, no, it's not. No, it's not for sure. I am in South Florida. I will be seeing guys all week, and not just in South Florida. I'm going to be moving around a little bit, but I'll be at Miami Northwestern this afternoon for practice. So it's a cool documentary on that out there, by the way, from back in the day. But obviously, James Johnson was in town. Vodney Cleveland was in town. Tyler Atkinson. They had a number of guys, a new 2028 offensive line offer, which we're not going to really dig into now. But that kid really likes Texas, but that's a long way away. We're in September 8th of 2025. But he's a very talented kid. So Texas had a number of guys on campus, some 2027s locally in the area. Then there's news Corey Wells off the defensive line commit was at Auburn with his brother over the weekend. I may make a run through Petal after this week. We'll see. Mississippi, I hadn't been to Petal, Mississippi in a few years, so I may make a run through there, kind of working my way back. But everything, look, you hear all the visits go well, right? I mean, there's nothing negative coming out of those visits. But again, we'll see James Johnson this afternoon. What's interesting, somebody asked if Billy Napier gets fired, who will Texas still talking to Kendall Gravel. Now, Kendall had an unfortunate ACL injury. He's missing his senior year. That was first game of the year. But I can tell you that Texas is still in contact there. I think Texas is in contact with a number of guys that are committed elsewhere. Obviously, we've talked about Malachi Lee before. One loss doesn't make a flip. One win doesn't make a flip. It doesn't work that way in NIL today. But Texas is I think that things are going to start heating up a little bit on the recruiting trail coming up starting September 20th. That's going to be when Derek Cooper makes his official visit to Texas. That's Texas' first big visit weekend. I think you'll see a lot of guys at that game. But everybody, look, teams are still going to push for Vodney Cleveland. They're still going to, Miami, Florida are going to try to push for James Johnson. Here's a little bit of Vodney Cleveland. He's the big guy wearing 9 in the middle against Mountain Brook. He's having a really good year, guys. He's just so dominant. It's quick. His combination of quickness and strength is really impressive. Like he's ascended since last year as a player. Off to a good start. Obviously flew into the game Saturday morning. He's expected back on campus. He's just bulling guys on this video, but he's got that quickness and power combination. Looks like, hey, could he be Murad Watson? He looks a little bit like Murad Watson to me, guys, who's, by the way, is really good. So I think recruiting is really going to start to pick up late September for Texas. And look, I expect James Johnson to be on another campus this year. I expect these guys aren't going to stop. These schools aren't going to stop recruiting these guys. But we'll have more on James this afternoon leading into tonight and tomorrow morning here on Coffee and Football.
Hey, Jerry, you mentioned Vodney Cleveland. I saw a little video of him and Steve Sarkisian meeting in the line going into the game. You know, Sark always and then the team walks through the line going to the game. Vodney Cleveland showed up and he looked extremely impressive.
Yes,
physically. I used the term "looks like he swallowed an oak barrel" to talk about someone's chest when it's just naturally huge. Vodney fits in that category. He definitely fits in that category.
And that is why Auburn, Florida, nobody will give up on him.
Yeah, nor should they.
And nor should they. Because nationally, defensive line this year nationally isn't a depth of high-level prospects. So those guys that are, It's not like a school can just say, man, we missed on Vodney, so we're going just to the next guy, because there's not as many of those guys in this class nationally for whatever reason. Now, there'll be 3 or 4 guys pop up senior year, but those guys, the James Johnsons, Vodney Cleveland's, Jamion Winfield, whoever it is, those high-level guys, Kendall Gerville with a knee injury, those high-level guys there's just not as many of those nationally for schools to kind of just move to the next guy and say, okay, 1A, 1B, 1C, 1D, 1E. There may not be 1D and 1E in this class for some of these for these schools. So they're going to be battling on these same guys to signing day.
Let's jump over to some more super chats. We got this one here from John Center. Thank you, John. He says, good morning from Liberty Hill. How do we get Nick Townsend the ball? That dude looks to play angry.
I love it. I think he's a tremendous football player. I think he's got a very, very bright future in the game of football. He is aggressive. He is fast. He has got good hands. I think he's proving to be a quick learner because, Bobby, they literally put him out for a play at Ohio State.
Yep.
How many freshmen even got on the field for a play at Ohio State? And he was the key blocker in that play. Then in week 2, what happens? He's now your H-back fullback on the goal line. So they're trusting him. They're trusting him in the blocking game. He had one just missed assignment where he just got confused on. After that, other than that, he's been really solid.
I went back and watched. He had a couple of WTF moments in that game. He really did. I mean, one of them he slipped and fell. Another one he kind of went to the wrong hole. But look, when you make mistakes, make them going 110 miles an hour on a football field. And that is one thing you do not have to worry about Nick Townsend. He's going to make them, and he's going to get there and still be physical at the point of attack. I think he is a little bit of what may be the answer in the run game on the goal line as a blocker, to Jerry's point. His kick-out block on a 4-yard run is going to be on a highlight reel. I mean, if you go back and watch it, he literally knocked a guy off his cleats and bowed his back. I mean, it was violent to the point of, wow, I'm glad I'm not that dude. It was physical, mean, fair. By the way, there wasn't some kind of cheap hit or anything. I mean, it was literally he brought it to him. And to Jerry's point, I think that easing him in and using him in this way is part of what the development that needs to take place over these next 2 games. Texas may have we already know Texas found something with Grayson Littleton, right? We figured that out in game 1. Game 2, Texas found a little something with Nick Townsend. Everybody agree with that? Maybe they're finding a little something with Jordan Washington too. Keep adding guys to the mix like that. Anthony Smith, game 1 and game 2, definitely has a role now. If Texas can keep developing those guys, maybe Khalid Lockett is next at receiver. He had 2 nice grabs. So my point to that is that's part of what this 3-game phase or stretch is for, adding pieces to the puzzle and getting them reps so that when they go to Florida, his physicality is there and he's doing the right things all the time, or 95% of the time instead of 85% of the time. That's big to me.
Yeah, one of the plays. Look, every quarterback's going to miss plays. One of the plays that Arch missed Saturday was on a little roll to the left where he had Nick Townsend, and all he needs to do is flip that ball to an athlete like that, and that dude's going to break that first tackle and turn up the field and make a first down. And I think that's going to be recognition, ways to get the ball to Nick Townsend this year, because he is going to be like a big running back after the catch is what he's going to be like. And that dude's got legit. I'll stand by it. I don't dislike the idea of handing him the football inside the 5. I don't dislike that idea at all. Look, I mean, a buddy of mine kept texting me that Penn State used Warren in that way. They're tied in last year. If you got one that can do it, use it. But he's such a good blocker. I think he's also going to be their best lead blocker at a fullback, H-back position inside the 5 as well. But I'm just telling you, I would think hard about handing him the football in some of those situations, because I think he's got a combination of explosive toughness and physicality to him and true want to that maybe brings value in goal line situations.
The play you described, Jerry, with talent or with Arch rolling to the short side of the field to his left.
Yeah.
That's the sort of small thing that Arch has to get better at. I felt like the receiver on that side did not get out of his break in time and made Arch wait a little too long. That internal clock in Arch's head has to go off and say, I can't wait for that guy. I got to go ahead and hit the open guy now.
Yeah.
And instead, he ended up making a rush throw. It's got to be an internal clock thing with Arch. And the best thing about Arch, how many problems did you see carry over from week 1 to week 2? I mean, did you see many? I didn't. That's a really healthy sign for a young quarterback.
Yeah.
Non-repeated mistakes. Really healthy.
All right, Jerry, your time to shine. I've been waiting for this one. Just got the graphic ready. So tell us about our new sponsor, Tushy.
A-hole, balloon knot, fart box, stink wrinkle, leather Cheerio, cornhole, mud button. They're only dirty words if you wipe. Men will laugh about farts until the day we die. But the second we need to talk to a doctor about our bottom half, we certainly clean up. Bidets normalize talking about your bottom health while making bathroom visits so much more comfortable. Men will life hack everything but their toilet paper consumption. Using a Tushy bidet means you leave the bathroom much cleaner than when you walked in. Let's get into that. Tushy is the everyday luxury bidet that instantly transform your bathroom habits and bottom health for life. 99% of people who wash with Tushy Wave feel cleaner and fresher going to the bathroom. That is very important. It's a luxurious flush too. Something to remember. Remember, a-hole is only a dirty word if you wipe. For a limited time, our listeners get 10% off their first bidet order when you use the code ONTexas, all caps, at checkout. That's 10% off your first bidet order at hellotushy.com with promo code ONTexas. I got my Tushy in the mail, and I'm going to pushy it onto the toilet when I get back, and I'm very excited about this product, guys. Look. Over 2 million butts love Tushy worldwide. Get 10% off Tushy with code ONTexas at hellotushy.com/ONTexas.
Oh, my goodness. This is how Bobby's been the entire commercial read, by the way, for people that can now see him. He couldn't handle it. Oh, gosh.
Y'all need to hear that read again. Yeah. Hole, balloon knot, fart box, stink, leather Cheerio, cornhole, mud button.
Oh my goodness, that's good stuff.
Over 2 million butts served, as Garrett says.
All right. It's going to be really hard to follow that up, but I'm going to attempt to do so.
No
Tell
chance.
everyone about Prize Picks, because we make decisions daily, but on Prize Picks, being right can get you paid. You can even use that money to get a Tushy. And with football now here, it's time to make that money. Prize Picks is simple to play. Just pick more or less on 2 to 6 player stat projections. If you get your picks right, you can cash in and win up to 2,000 times your money. It's the best way to get in on sports action in more than 40 states, including California, Florida, Georgia, and of course right here in the great Lone Star State. Prize Picks has NFL. They have college football. They have just about any and every sport that you want. But for tonight, I have Justin Jefferson having more than 4.5 receptions, DJ Moore to have more than 5 receptions, and JJ McCarthy to have at least 1 passing touchdown. So come join me on those picks or make your own in less than 60 seconds and turn your sports opinions into real money. Download the Prize Picks app today. Use code ONTEXAS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code ONTEXAS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. And that's Prize Picks. Run your game.
Good stuff. Good stuff.
Hey, by the way, that Tushy podcast, that Tushy read probably for Florida fans this morning.
No.
I missed. Hey, look. Pete, look, over half the people that wash with Tushy soothe their hemorrhoids. 9 out of 10 people, they report that it's reduced itching and discomfort. Florida fans, that's you this morning. Get a Tushy.
Oh, goodness. All right. We got a lot more super chats to get into. And Jerry's Jack Links, thank you for yours, says, we're young and immature. We've lost a ton of leaders. This team in week 12 will be vastly different than the team in week 2, 2026.
I've got some, I finally have some people agreeing with me. I feel like I was the one yelling this in the preseason and not many people agreed. Look, I am at the same time, I'm not giving up on 2025. I just want to put that out there. You guys, as long as they clean stuff up, as long as Arch keeps improving, as long as they find another playmaker on offense, Trey Wisner comes back.
Emmett Mosley hasn't even played yet.
Yeah, I'm not like a lot of people say, oh, this looks like a 9-3, 8-4 type team. I'm not there. It may eventually be there. It may eventually go there. It ain't there right now. Let's see how Arch and the offense and the defense keep developing more players and adding more guys in, because I'm telling you guys, Texas is extremely talented and deep. If they can stay healthy, they're going to be a little bit different or a lot different come the time the Aggies come calling. I'm just telling, Texas has some guys. So you got to show some patience. I know that's not easy as a fan on Saturday, on any Saturday, but you got to show some patience with this team because the tools are there. They got to put it all together. They got to play a cleaner game. I mean, I listed a half dozen to a dozen things on Texas football this morning that they need to improve on, but they have the time to do so. That's how this schedule shapes up. And it is one of the benefits of playing Ohio State first out of the gate. You have a month to get ready for the grind of the schedule. I think that's a good thing.
And then David Parcell, thank you, David, for the super chat. Says, good morning, Bobby, Jerry, and let's not forget Blake. I need a 69-3 or a 70-0 game for Texas, like Oregon and Ohio State, respectively. Is there a game in the next 2 weeks that will give us that?
No, because Oklahoma State's not on the schedule.
Oh.
Look, here's my thing. It's not, the crazy thing is it's not far off. I mean, Texas won 38-7 Saturday, drop balls, got a holding penalty on a 30-yard gain the first play of the game. When you know that, as Rod said, Rod and I were talking about during the watch with us, they'd probably ran the play 15 times all week in preparation for the game, and they wipe out a 28-yard gain the first play of the game. It's actually not that, and then the penalties, just the drive killers, send you the 3rd and longs. It's not far off from 600 yards and 62-7 last. It's really not as far off as I think we think it is. I mean, look, you can't drop 20-yard gains. Arch has, he can't miss the easy throws. There was a couple again this week, but it's not as far off as you think it is. The penalties, the sloppy play makes it feel like it's a long ways off, but it's really not. The problem is you don't want to be the team that Then next week goes out and beats UTEP 59-7. Then the following week reverts right back to some of the things you saw against San Jose State and wins 38-10.
It's got to be linear.
You don't want to be the hot and cold team. That's what you don't want to be, because then you end up 9-3 hoping to get in the playoffs if you're run hot and cold.
I could not agree more. Consistency. I would add this. Go back to the final drive of Arch in the game on Saturday. Final drive, Texas is driving. Cedric Baxter rips off a 10 to 15-yard run. They've still got him in the game in the fourth quarter a little bit. And DJ Campbell gets called for a hold.
Yeah.
That makes it 1st and 20. Okay. It was a good drive up until then. That makes it 1st and 20. Then there's an illegal procedure penalty on Ryan Niblett moving at the same time as one of the other receivers. That makes it 1st and 25.
Yeah.
Then on the very next play, Arch misses Nick Townsend. 2nd and 25. Then the next play is like, I think a 3 or 4 yard run. That's not winning football. That's shooting yourself in the foot. Eliminate those, and that becomes 45-7 most likely. Right? Eliminate the fumble at the end of the game by Jarrett Gibson. Maybe that becomes 52-7. To Jerry's point, it's not that far away, but I don't see this offense either as a 69, 70-point type of offense. That's not what they're trying to go for right now. They're simply trying to execute, get everybody on the same page, etc. That's my take on it.
Our next super chat from Bald Father Betts. He says the Arch shoulder thing. I'm not trying to add to BS, but couldn't an AC1 be such that the throw to Wingo hurts it, but the one to Butler is fine?
Look, I don't know what AC1 is versus AC75, but I want to say this. If y'all think that Arch has a shoulder issue and his parents are letting him play with it, that's where I just think it's wrong. I mean, I said it last night in the live stream. I mean, Patrick Mahomes signed a $500 million deal. Okay. $500 million for a quarterback. If you think that they're going to let a guy that possibly has any kind of shoulder issue play through it when he has that much on the line, I just can't. And with their track record and history of understanding football the way they do, I just don't see that as possible. I don't. I think that goes beyond the realm of likely or even possible.
And staying on Arch Manning for a moment, Guy here with the super chat. Thank you, guys. Says all the criticism of Arch, but he had better numbers than Klubnik and Nussmeier did this week.
I mean, look, there's some good quarterbacks that had bad games this week. Sam Levitt's a good player that had the worst game of his career at Mississippi State. Good player. He'll bounce back, but he had a rough game at Mississippi State. It happens. Even the heroes for some teams right now are going to have some rough games this season. Lagway didn't have a great game against USF. South Carolina was a hot mess. Their offensive line's a hot mess. So that's going to be interesting. That's kind of what we talked about with Lenora Sellers. Can they put enough around him? And I think the answer is no. That guy is South Carolina fans are going to be, they're going to be talking about, man, we had a potentially great player and weren't able to put enough around them. I think that's going to be the case there, especially the offensive line. But there are some really good players that didn't have great games at that position this week. But it happens.
And Taylor Johnson with the super chat. Thank you, Taylor. Says, saw Georgia run 10 plays at the 1 versus Troy, but couldn't score. Oklahoma's pretty good, but here is impressive. Plus that defense. The penalties are killing momentum. Hope to see better run game and wide receiver connection this week.
So this is a great time to bring up the SEC schedule this week.
Well, first of all, Georgia was playing Austin P.
They were playing an FCSer and had scored 28.
OU is pretty good. Mateer is impressive. Their defense is impressive. Michigan's offense is stuck in the 1950s from a style perspective, in my opinion. And I agree, Taylor, that the penalties are killing Texas momentum. Yeah. Now go with the next piece.
Because this is it's put up or shut up time in the SEC this week. It really is. Look, Georgia at Tennessee. I'm not sure how Georgia's a 7-point favorite in that game, first of all. But Georgia at Tennessee, that's a huge game for Georgia. And we've talked about it. Their schedule this year is going to be pretty tough for them. We're going to see if they lose that game. There's people that if they lose this week, you're down the 1-game margin for error. Texas is already down the 1-game margin for error. Georgia, if they win at Tennessee, hey, that's going to be really good for them. If they lose, they're down the 1-game margin for error. You go down A&M at Notre Dame. Notre Dame had an off week, by the way. A&M played Utah State. Marcel Reed hurt. They said he would have come back into the game if it was Notre Dame. We'll see on that. But A&M at Notre Dame, that's a huge game for Texas A&M to see where they're really at compared to where they were at last year. Because Notre Dame, I still think Notre Dame's a really good football team. I think C.J. Carr's be a really good player. And Notre Dame's had a week off to kind of heal from a physical opener against Miami. Vanderbilt at South Carolina. Diego Bobby just finds a way, man. His team finds a way. That was a really good win at Va-Tech for them because Va-Tech has 4 or 5 defensive players that are really good players. So Florida at LSU. Look at the Florida LSU game. LSU had some injuries in that game. Win over La Tech. They lost their center to I think a high ankle. So who knows where he's going to be at? I think they lost a couple more guys in that game. So we'll see if LSU starts a little beat up now. La Tech had 75 yards late in the third quarter of that game. I mean, defensively, LSU's made a huge jump from a year ago, but they struggled to finish drives in that game. But Florida, it's going to be so ugly in Gainesville this week for those kids, for those players, and for Napier. It's going to be interesting to see. Florida's at LSU, at Miami, and then they have the off week before Texas. If they lose the next 2, it's going to be a very wounded dog, but is the dog going to have any fight for their coach? It's going to be interesting to see with Florida because they that was a bad loss for them against USF. But Arkansas at Ole Miss won at Kentucky. Close game, but they avenged a loss last week. But it's kind of – you're going to start to see this SEC take shape this week. You're going to see where Georgia's really at Tennessee, and where's Tennessee at. You're going to see Vanderbilt and South Carolina, and you're going to see where A&M's at this week. And you're going to see what type of fight Florida's going to put up here in the next few weeks.
And while we're on that subject, Joshy Manning, thanks for your super chat. Says, remember no one in the media talking about how Georgia only scored 28 against. Checks notes, Austin P. and says the misspelling is intentional. So thank you for that, Joshy. All right, Bobby, do me a favor and tell everyone out there about Vaughn Lane.
Yeah, absolutely. If you're going to the game this weekend and want an easy trip, don't have to worry about the traffic, don't have to worry about anything. Just getting on the bus and going, try Vaughn Lane. If you've got to get from one city to another, and like always, it's a toss-up. Do you deal with the airport chaos and hope your flight isn't delayed, or do you brace yourself for hours behind the wheel? There's a third option, and it's better in every way, and that's Vaughn Lane. You arrive at a luxury hotel terminal, no TSA lines, no long-term parking lots, just a seamless boarding experience that takes minutes, not hours. You settle into one of 22 oversized first-class seats with 140-degree reclined leg rests and a cabin attendant serving complimentary snacks, beverages, and on select trips, full meals. If you need to relax, lean back, enjoy the ride, or if you want to stay productive, there's high-speed Wi-Fi and power at every seat. Fall travel is booking.
Uh-oh.
Bobby's mic went out.
And Bobby's mic did go out.
Oh, there we go. College football weekends in Nashville, Dallas, Fort Worth, and Houston. Vaughn Lane connects Austin, Dallas, Houston, Fort Worth, San Antonio, Nashville, Atlanta, Memphis, and now Knoxville, the Woodlands, and Plano. It's the way to go. Visit VaughnLane.com and use code OTF25 to save $20 on your first ride. Vaughn Lane, elevated regional bus transportation. It is the way to get to Texas football games, in my opinion.
Real quick, Jet Jones, I agree. Georgia's been very vanilla because they played Marshall and Austin P. Now, they wanted to score more than 28 points against Austin P, to be clear on that. But kind of like Texas was against San Jose State. Texas was very vanilla on defense. Georgia's going to bring it to Tennessee defensively. We're going to see what they have defensively in Knoxville.
And we need to see what you have with your Gooder read.
I can absolutely do that. My Gooders are in the car getting mentally prepared for this Florida sunshine this week, the practice fields. But look, stylish sunnies starting only $25 a pair, 1 year free warranty, 30-day free returns, lightweight and comfortable, 100% polarized, no slip, no bounce. From vibrant colors to sleek styles, there's a pair of Gooders for every personality, designed for both everyday wear and active individuals that love to run, hike, bike, and much, much more. I'm pretty sure CDC had some Gooders on at the start of our interview Friday. I got to ask him, when do you wear your Gooder sunnies? Maybe if you're the AD at Texas, walking on Bevo Boulevard on a run, playing pickleball on a hike, going to the beach, golfing in South Florida. Not me, but I see a lot of these people. So you see a lot of golf carts and sets of clubs here in Jupiter, Florida. I'll tell you that, because they're so affordable. You don't have to worry about losing or breaking them. You can have a pair for every single occasion. If you need a new pair of sunnies, Gooder is giving On Texas football listeners free shipping. You can go to gooder.com/OnTexas and use that code On Texas for free shipping. Gooder offers a 30-day money-back guarantee. Wad it up, put it in the trash, and 100% satisfaction, which I guarantee. Again, that's gooder.com/OnTexas. Use that code for free shipping.
Thank you, Jerry. Moving on here to some more super chats. Jeff Carey with a pair. We'll start with his first one. He says, violence and freaky speed is intimidating to your opponent, not seeing enough.
You know, we're not seeing a lot of speed. We don't have a Jaden Blue. We don't have a Xavier Worthy. We don't have an Isaiah Bond. So I think that's part of the change in the offensive approach at this point. I would say that violence is a little different. I mean, with Cedric Baxter back, you're seeing some violent runs right now by him. It's not every single run because he's getting stopped in the backfield and plugged up on some stuff, but he's a violent runner. I think Nick Townsend adds some violence, and if you don't think Anthony Hill's violent, ask the kid that caught that pass. So I think there's violence there. I do think we're missing some speed on offense right now. Playmakers.
I think, look, I'm a little different. I don't think, like, there's been people in the chat, Texas is not a fast team. I think this is the Texas roster 1 through 85 is the fastest it's been under Sark. I don't think Ryan Wingo doesn't have speed. I think DeAndre Moore is going to run fast. Look, nobody had A.D. Mitchell running 4.33. Nobody had Matthew Golden running 4.29 when they played at Texas. But now it's easy to sit back and say, oh, these guys were so fast. Well, nobody thought that necessarily. They didn't think they were going to run those times at the combine. Ryan Wingo was a 10-5 guy in high school. Catch the football. Okay? DeAndre Moore is going to run fast. We haven't seen Emmett Mosley yet. It was a 10.69 guy at 200 pounds in high school. Nick Townsend, I think the athleticism at tight end is fast. I think there's some fast players at tight end on this Texas team. I'm a little different. I think there's 0 to 10. There were some special guys in the past. I don't think this team's lacking speed. I think this team's lacking execution. And when you're lacking execution, you're made to look slower than you actually are.
Somebody said Bijan and Roschon didn't have elite speed. They're right.
They're right.
But Xavier Worthy was also on that team in 2022, and he did.
Ja'Tavion Sanders is a 4.8 guy at tight end. Yeah, Texas has better athletes at tight end now.
I agree with that overall. They are missing – they're missing that one jet right now, or the jet's not getting the ball enough.
Yeah. I think when you're – look, I think people will look back and say this is not – Texas has fast players on this team, but you have to execute to look fast. Texas is going to get behind people with their wide receivers, but they got to put it all together.
I'm just going to say this: they're lacking that one dude. You could be fast 1 to 85, but you may not be fast 0 to 1. That's my point. They need to find that one guy that scares the you know what out of people.
Jeff Carey's other super chat this morning says, anything in the top 25 that is interesting?
Yeah. South Florida, nobody would have had that one, but 2 tremendous wins to start the season. Is Illinois a top 10 team? We'll see on that as that plays out this season. South Carolina's offensive line, no chance. They're 11 right now. No chance. And y'all know I love Sellers, but no chance. Because that offensive lines just look too bad to start the season. A lot of SEC teams in this top 25, and we're going to find out pretty quick when Auburn goes to Oklahoma shortly where they're actually at. I will say it's the transitive property thing. Baylor beating SMU and is probably good for Auburn in a way because of how Auburn beat Baylor. So we'll see on that. I don't think Michigan's a top 25 team.
Jerry and I agree on that. I don't think Michigan's a top 25 team. Georgia-Tennessee game's going to be a truth teller at some level. Georgia got issues on offense. I mean, just bottom line, they scored 28 against Austin Peay.
Yeah,
I just think they got issues on offense. The game of the week though is A&M Notre Dame. Jerry, you're talking about teams that can get knocked out of the playoffs. What do you do if a Notre Dame team loses another game this early?
Yeah,
they'll have 2 losses.
Yeah,
and they still have others to go. And so last year Notre Dame took up one of those 12 spots. They lose to A&M. I doubt Notre Dame makes college football playoffs this year.
Yeah,
it's going to put that. If they lose to A&M, might be one that you can mark off the list.
Yeah, and by the way, yes, if he take they won't, but if they did, yes.
Oh, you think you're thinking Notre Dame?
Yeah, I think Notre Dame. I actually liked what I saw from Notre Dame in the first game of the year on the road against what I think Miami's offensive line is really good. Ruben Bain being healthy, they got pass rush there. I actually liked what I saw from Notre Dame. Was a freshman or first year starting quarterback perfect on the road? No. When are they? But I actually like what I saw from Notre Dame. I'm interested to see how A&M does physically, defensively against Notre Dame. Are they going to be able to stop the run in that game? And then we'll see how much A&M's improved because, I think Concepcion, the kid from Mississippi State, Craver's really fast. They're going to be going up against as good a corners as there is in college football Saturday.
Yeah.
It's going to be a true. I don't think their A&M fans will have to question where their team's at after Saturday. They're going to know exactly where they're at after that game based on what they see.
A&M, a 6.5-point dog to Notre Dame in South Bend.
Yeah.
Yep. All right. Let's see. Our next super chat this morning comes from Brian. And he wants to know, can Jonah help the struggling return game?
I'm going to stay on it. I 100% think so. And that's one of the areas where, I think Texas can get more explosive as a team is in the return game. And I think that guy is Jonah Williams when he's available to do that. And I think that could be punt return. I think that could be kickoff return. He is very natural at it. He's fearless at it. And he's talented at it because he's always been an outfielder growing up. So he's able to track the ball in the air. So you track the ball in the air, you play it with timing. But I watched Jonah return a lot of kicks at Galveston ball and punts. And I think he can absolutely bring something to this Texas team in the return game. And I think he will. I think it's only a matter of time. And I think they need it.
And then we have a super chat this morning from, let's see here, Edgar. Thank you, Edgar. He says, hear me out, OTF. Watching other teams, receivers run crisper routes. They find pockets and zones. They use technique to create space. Film shows our guys running sloppy routes, makes it hard for Arch. What gives?
I would challenge this a little bit. I can't sit here and tell you that I've watched enough of other teams this year that other receivers, of course, some receivers are going to run crisper routes. Of course. But I bet DeAndre Moore is as good a route runner as just about anybody in the country. I get the feeling that Parker Livingstone's really, really good. Or Livingston, by the way, needs to be Livingston from now on.
Yep.
All of us, because I've gone through this back and forth. is proper pronunciation of his last name, even though it looks like Livingstone, is Livingston. I think that I would push back on that. I think that Ryan Wingo is someone that's still trying to get sharper in that regard. But I don't, finding these guys there's a junior, a sophomore, or a junior and 2 true sophomores. Of course, there are guys that have been playing receiver for 5 years that are going to look crisper in routes. What did y'all expect? That's my comment to these guys. It is not, and we use the term all the time. It's something that Will Muschamp and Dwayne Aquina used to say. It is not instant water or
Add water, instant player.
Water, instant player. It is not that. These guys, there's a difference between a senior with experience and maybe a little less athleticism than there is a sophomore, a true sophomore. So you got to take the good with the bad there, guys, and understand it. You can't correct it. It can't course correct immediately. You have to wait. That's patience.
All right, Bob, before we get to our last few questions of the day, I'm going to let you tell everyone about our sponsor today, Longhorn Wealth Management Group.
Yeah, absolutely. John has been with us for 3 years now. We really appreciate his sponsorship of On Texas Football. He was at the On Texas Football tailgate on Saturday. Also went to the Longhorn volleyball game, I believe, on Sunday as well. We appreciate John and his sponsorship of On Texas Football. Look, if you are a Longhorn and want to get a free 90-minute private consultation to help you understand how working with a certified financial planner like John can help you accurately analyze your true life insurance needs, as well as determine what the right mix of protections may be to suit your timeline requirements and cash flow availability, reach out to John and his team at longhornwealth.net. That's longhornwealth.net. Don't procrastinate. Take advantage of the opportunity to learn how to successfully protect the future for your loved ones if something were to happen to you. Get the process started by calling John and the Longhorn Wealth team, 972-707-4900, or go online, longhornwealth.net, to schedule your free consultation today. Hook them from John and the longhornwealth.net team.
Hey, Blake, I'm going to hit this question. Yep. Hijoli Friol, 93, Shyamalan and Ding Dong. Can you highlight the American Heritage versus Chaminade Madonna game? How did Bell and Cooper look? Chaminade Madonna won that game 28-24 late. Diabell was really good, 25 of 35, 325, 3 touchdowns, had like 50-plus yards rushing. Derek Cooper scored 3 touchdowns, looked really quick and powerful in that game. But both those guys played really well in that setting and in that game. I'm going to see both of them as this week progresses down here in Florida. Again, I'm going to see James Johnson, Miami Northwestern practice this afternoon. Going to see a couple other guys later in the week. But those guys both had very solid games. I'm going to hit a couple of others here. Sandman 23 asks, Florida, Bama, which fan base hates their head coach more? Still, man, I guess it's Florida now. I guess it's Florida until Alabama's next loss, and it's definitely Alabama. That's the one thing I would say there. It's Florida now, but it's gonna be it's gonna be Alabama after their next loss, because they're gonna hate their guy forever. DeAndre Moore, by the way, Sark speaks in about an hour, couple hours.
So 11 a.m. today.
11 a.m. So
or 11:30, excuse me, 11:30.
So we'll see what he has to say about the injuries, because he'll be asked, I'm sure, about DeAndre Moore, Michael Taff, which is probably minor, but there were some guys that limped off late in that game. Not saying anything's major. He'll be asked about those guys at the 11 a.m. presser.
All right, we got a couple of more super chats before we get out of here. Let's go ahead and just grab this one that just came in, since it's right there. Terrence Jones, Blake, Bobby, Jerry, will ever see a $1 billion player in the NFL?
If you're at $500 million now, I mean, let's just say in the next 20 years with inflation, it won't get there.
I think we may see it in the NBA before the
Oh,
NFL.
well, I mean, you already have a billionaire in Michael Jordan, don't you?
Yeah, I think he may be talking about a contract. Yeah, Terrence, if you're talking about a contract, I mean, we met. What's Shohei Ohtani? 700 million.
That's what I was. Yeah, it's Shohei Ohtani with a $700 million deal, 10-year, $700 million deal. And then, of course, it looks like Josh Allen, 6-year, $330 million, or two are the higher ones as of right now.
Yeah, the NBA's got a. I don't know if guys will sign that long term of a contract, but there's a couple of guys there like Wembanyama coming up. If he said, "Give me max dollars, I'll do a 10-year contract," which won't happen. Somebody in the NBA may come close, but MLB is probably your winner in that.
All right, let's see. Frantic Longhorn. Is our O-line good? They seem sus in run block.
That's a fair question. I was not as concerned about run blocking as I was pass protection on Saturday.
I'm the same.
Not a tight effort there, not a clean effort in pass protection. And it was from multiple parties. Connor Stroh let a guy through one time, went out to help on the tackle instead of stay in his lane at guard and let a guy slip pass on Cole Hudson's left. I mentioned Brandon Baker having some issues again, missing a call, I think. I'm in that category right now where the run blocking is probably going to be okay as long as they can just get in and out of their in and out of their pulls and stuff. And it'll depend largely on how many people a team commit to stopping the run. I mean, it's hard to block 7 people.
Yeah.
With 5 or 6.
Okay? One of the things I'm seeing, Bobby, is too much thinking and then not enough reacting.
Maybe.
And and that's part of growing as a new starter. I just think everything looks that split second off at times, and that's when you're thinking
on the O-line.
On the O-line, yeah,
I could buy that.
All right, and then 151 collectibles. Thank you for your super chat. The Sark bench Wingo if his struggles continue as Mosley comes back. Does Arch not see the open backs for easy checkdowns?
I think it's too early to talk about benching Ryan Wingo. He's possibly the one guy that can strike some fear in people. I think we need to see this. The other piece, if you can go back to the second part of that question, if you don't mind. Does Arch not see the open backs for easy checkdowns? I think he does, actually. I just think he's not looking for them as quickly as a third-year starter and Quinn Ewers was.
And I also think the offense this year, Bobby, is different. Texas wants to push the ball vertically down the field. And so I think these are it's going to add more pressure to the offensive line in pass pro, but I think you'll see a different offense from Texas. And we talked about this preseason. This is going to be more of the play action drop back, maybe turn your back when Arch gets more comfortable, more starts to the defense type of offense, longer developing plays. But for that to happen, the offensive line is going to have to hold up their end of the bargain. Arch has to get it out on time in those situations as well. So I think there's a big difference in what we're seeing offensively from within Sark's scheme this year and how they want to build this offense as the season moves along. And I think the more they develop down the field with the passing game, the more pressure that's going to put on a defense as the season moves along. And then what's the other parts of that? What are the parts that they're going to be added to that offense? I think that's going to be interesting to see how it kind of comes together for this offense, because I think it's a totally different plan this year than it was the last 2 years offensively.
And then our final super chat of the day comes from Spank B. Thank you, Spank. And he says, do y'all think throwing a football with touch is natural or can it be taught?
It can be taught. I mean, not necessarily as well as someone that does it naturally, but it can be taught.
Yeah.
I think Arch has touch, though. I mean, people don't realize it. I mean, just let him grow, guys. Give him some patience. Give Ryan Wingo some patience. I feel like everybody look, Rome wasn't built in a day for a reason. I mean, it lasts longer if it takes longer to build. It just does. And so put the cake in the oven and let it bake. Don't expect it to just be ready-made. I really believe that. I know people want this. A lot of people want it now. Well, how come they didn't work on this all off season? And there's some valid points in there about that. I hear you. I'm not, mad about it. It takes time. Football is the ultimate team sport. It takes 11 guys. And in college football, there are 11 guys at different stages, all at different stages of their development. This isn't the NFL, where every single one of those suckers are professionals. This is just give them time, let them grow, have some patience. If they're not clicking 6 games into this thing, 7 games, let's talk.
All right, guys. Well, that's going to do it for today's episode of Coffee and Football, presented by John Donovan and Longhorn Wealth Management Group. Want to thank John, along with Prize Picks Gooder, and of course Tushy, along with Vaughn Lane as well, for sponsoring today's show. Bobby, what do you have later today?
We got several things. So obviously, Sark talks at 11:30 today. Happy about that. Get to hear what he thinks upon retrospect of Saturday's game after watching the film. We'll also get a few players there for interviews as well. Hope to hear from them. We also have Jerry and I talking a little player development issues at Texas and who we think are next to kind of come about. That'll be our Talking Ball episode. And then tonight, Rod, Coach Shipley, and CJ Vogel will get together and talk about what we've got going on and take your questions on the live stream, Longhorn live stream at 7:15. I believe that starts. I do want to say one thing quickly. Who's better right now, Arch or Mateer? Mateer is better right now. Right now. But will he be second week of October? That's what matters. Y'all, that's what I'm trying to say. They don't play tomorrow. They play in a month. I want to say this. Special thanks to all of our game day sponsors, particularly for the tailgate. Duck Camp did a great thing. They're giving away $200 gift certificate every tailgate that we have this year. Really enjoyed doing that. OG actually won that, I believe, somebody that signed up. So that was good. We'll also have more on Duck Camp and their new promotion coming up later today as well.
Well, we hope you all have a phenomenal day. Oh, before we get out here, I do want to say 2 things. Number one, don't forget to head on over to ontexasfootball.com. Use promo code OTFOG when you sign up. Get a full year for $39.95. That's for new subscribers only. Again, promo code OTFOG. And then also don't forget, Bobby has restocked the store. Purchase now at shop.ontexasfootball.com. You can use the QR code on the screen as well. He has hats. He has mugs. So go be sure to check that out at shop.ontexasfootball.com. Now then, with that said, I hope you all have a phenomenal day. We'll be back same time, same place tomorrow. So for Bobby Burton and Jerry Hamilton, I'm Blake Monroe, and we'll see you next time.